Uh, NumPy was a data structure which which kind of mimicked the okay. So you said that NumPy was to mimic the structure of a matrix, right? Pandas is used to mimic the structure of a table. Okay. So when you read data from a table, we would be using pandas. So pandas is something that you can't, you can't imagine using analytics or data science using pandas. Pandas has to be there. Okay. Because we will be reading data as a table, right? And then when you read the data as a table in Python, and then you can apply everything that we have done so far. You can apply loops, you can apply, like working with strings, lists, things like that. Okay. The first thing is that you have to read the data in a table format, in tabular format. Okay. So this reads the data from various sources. Okay. It can various sources. Okay. You can read data from Excel, CSV, database, your PDF, your zip file, your cloud files. Okay, it can connect to any type. Okay, and read the data. So the source, your data could be in any format, right? Could be any format, anywhere. You can read the data and store it as a table format in Pandas. We'll see, maybe if time permits today or maybe tomorrow, we'll see even how do you read data from a database. For MySQL that we earlier worked for database, we'll try to read a table using Pandas. So from any source, even zip file, you can read data from a zip file as well, okay, using Pandas. So we will see that, okay. But let's see, first of all, again, so read the data from various sources and stores it in a data frame, we call it, which is your table format, actually. Okay, data frame format in Python. Okay, so again, you'll have to do pip install pandas at the command prompt to start using it. Okay, this is a free package, but this is not default available. Okay, so you'll have to add it.
Python can use any kind of database. Is that what it is? Does it means?
Yes. Yes, you can connect to anything using Python. Okay, so that's why almost everywhere you will see Python is used these days. Okay.
Why did Tesla fire Python people?
Sorry.
Why did Tesla fire Python developers?
Okay, so we can discuss if I pause the record. Okay. So we have data frame, right? And data frame, as I said, is to read data in a table format. You are reading data in a table format. So let's see a couple of examples how you can read the data. Let's say you have data in a list. Okay. So I say data and it's in a list. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay. It's in a list, right? Now, I want to convert this into table. So table will have here, there's one list. So this will become one column. So this actually is going to be a list with only one column, right? So how do you do that? We have to import pandas, of course, to work with data frame. So I'm going to say here, import pandas as PD. Okay, next what? Okay, so let's say we'll put data itself and I'm going to say, okay, PD dot, okay, data frame. D capital, F capital, data frame, and I pass data here. Okay, now you print data. Okay, and let's run it. So see, it has created table. Now table, since we did not give a header, we did not give a name to the columns, it created a default column name as 0. Since we did not give column names, it created 0 as a column header. Okay, and these are called indexes. Okay, rows are called index. So these are index. So by default, you will have 0. It's like a primary key. Okay, it'll create 0, 2, n minus 1 default. You can, of course, rename the column. You can also rename the index. So let's say I want to rename the column, right? So here you say column equal to, now since we have only one column, okay, you can only give one value in the list, right? I call this as marks, let's say. System is slow, I don't know why. Okay, so showing error now, right? So you get marks header, see, header became marks. You want to give the index also, you can rename the index, okay? Now, when you have less data, okay, like 4, 5, 8 rows, probably you can give an index. But if you're dealing with millions of rows, right? Then we don't have to. I mean, it's not possible and there's no need to give there. So, of course, but if you want to, you can also give it. Now, let's say I want to give this as index equal to, let's say I give subject's name, okay? So let's say this is maths, this is English, this is say, science, this is say, physics, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And let's say we have chemistry, right? So now when you run it, see, the index got changed. So this is not a column, okay? This is not a column. There is no header here. This is name of the row, okay? Maths row, English row, science row, physics row, chemistry row. So these are names of rows, okay? So you can change the name of row and column, but the reference of 0 will be there behind it. Okay. So when you do indexing, okay, there are two ways to do indexing. Okay. One way is on the name. I want marks, column, and I want only English. Okay, I can do that. I'll show you maybe tomorrow. Second thing is you can use the reference. Okay, column 0 I want, and row reference 3. Okay, so you get 30, right? Column reference 0, row reference 3, you get 40. Column name marks, row name maths, you get 10. So you can do indexing on the name as well as index also. And um, if you don't give column name and index name, by default, okay, pandas will assign 0 to whatever, right? Number of columns and 0 to number of rows. So, okay, so that's how pandas work. Now, let's say I want to create two different columns, let's say. Okay, so to create two different columns, let's say this is one column and this becomes our, okay, so I'm going to put values here. Okay, and let's say I give a name here. I give this is Sachin's mark, let's say. Okay, this is Dhoni's mark, let's say. Okay, this is Rohit's mark, let's say. Let's say this is Virat's mark. Let's say this is Lakshman's mark. Okay. Now here, again, I need to give two values, right? Now we have two values here. So I'll say player. Okay. So now you see, You have player and you have marks. If you want one more column, you can add one more column, right? Let's say 3,000, 23,000. Okay. 19,000. 21,000. 8,000. Let's say 20,000. Okay. So in our case now, we have three columns, right? So I will add one more column. Let's say runs, you call it. So this is how you can convert list to a data frame, a table, right? We call it data frame in Pandas language. Okay, so you can convert a list into data frame. You can also convert a dictionary. Okay, so let's say I create a data called D1, and this time I'm going to create a dictionary. So in dictionary, what happens? The key becomes the column, and the values will become the row. Okay, so let's say I put here production. Okay, so let's say I call it mango. So mango, you have production for let's say 4 quarters. Okay, okay, sorry, 4 quarters already dictionary is created, right? So 4 quarters, I'll have to add four different values, right? So I'll say 23 quintal, 29 quintal, 11 quintal, and 6 quintal. Next values. Next is, let's say, oranges. Okay. And I give values here like, again, I have to give four, right? You cannot miss. You can give blank value, but you can't miss, right? So this becomes your 12, 49, 38, and let's say 20. Okay. Now one more. Okay. Let's add apples. Okay. Plural forms. Let's give plural form everywhere. Okay. Now 34, 43, 56, 41. Okay. So this is your D1. Now you can convert this D1 into data frame. Okay. So I'm going to say here D1 DF. DF generally we put to indicate data frame. Okay. So D1 DF, it is D1. And then you print D1. Okay. Oops, what happened? I didn't do. Okay, I printed D1, right? It is D1 DF. Okay, you see, you got this. Now here, okay, we have to give quarters, right? So what I'll do here, I'll go and I say index equal to Q1 2023. Uh-oh, this is a list. Then let's see, copy and paste. Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. Right? Now, when you run it, you can actually see. Okay, so this is how you can create table out of list. You can create table out of uh, dictionary. Okay, now let's do indexing. Okay, let's do indexing. Now for indexing, what I'll do is let me create one more data. Okay, and this time I will not name it. Okay, so let's say you have this one, right? I'm going to use this. Okay, so I'll call it as data to, data to, data to, data to, data to, and I'll not name it. Okay, so that by default you'll have 0. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, so on. Yeah, 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, so for indexing, okay, we have two functions. You have ilock and just lock. Okay, and this is how I remember. I for integer. Okay, that means if you are referencing using the reference, okay, you will use ilock. If you are if you are want to index based on the names, then you use lock. Lock is like, okay, name. Lock is for name. I lock is for integer value. Okay, so the reference. Got it? So let's say I want to let's look at this one, fruit production. So first we look at ilock, okay, how ilock works. Again, indexing is always using square bracket, right? So I need D1 DF, correct? And I go with square bracket, comma. Okay. Before comma is your rows, after comma is your column, row, column. Okay. Now, I just said, but before you perform index, you need to indicate whether you want to use, sorry, here it should be square bracket. Right? Because indexing is done using square bracket, right? So you do square bracket, right? So you have the variable name and you have a square bracket. But as I said, here it's not simple. We have to indicate whether you are using reference or name. So let's use name for now. So I need to give LOC. So LOC will indicate that you are using name, not reference. Okay. Now I want mangoes here from this side. Okay. I need only one column value, so I'll put, sorry, it's a string, right? So I'll put mangoes. I need only one value, so I put without list. You can put list also, but list is better when you have more than one column to select. So this is your column, right? And right, but what should we give first? Should we give row first or the column first? We give the row first. Remember, it's always row first. So if I need column mangoes, I'll put here. And I'll show you there's a shortcut to do column. Okay, let me do that. Okay, first. So if you want to do just the column, right? You can also say print D1 DF of mangoes. Okay, so it's okay. It says that if you want just all the columns, this is shortcut way. Okay, you don't even have to indicate ilock or lock. Okay, directly if you say mangoes, you get mangoes. So this is all your mangoes. Okay, but if you are doing indexing, right? Okay, so let's follow this. Same thing we will do using lock here. Now I want how many rows? I want all the rows, right? I want all the rows for mangoes. Okay, so here, let me give some demarcation, right? Mark 1. And here I'm going to say mark 2. Okay. See? So, okay. So this is mangoes. We gave mangoes, right? And here the way it is printed is different. Okay. When you just use this, so you get column and then it tells you which column and what is the data type of that column. But second one, if you just use indexing here, lock, ilock, you get, we wanted mangoes, right? We got mangoes and we got all the values here. Okay, so mangoes, all the rows. But I want now, see, you cannot mix it. I cannot say lock. I want to say mangoes, I should give name and I want to give reference here. No. Either you give reference to both or you give names to both. I want Q2 and Q3. So I'll go and put a, list here, and I will add, okay, let me add Q3 first. I will add Q3, and then I will add Q2. Okay. So now when you run it, oh, sorry, something went wrong. Invalid index error. Oh, colon, right? I did not delete the colon. Okay, so you see, mangoes, only these two columns we got. Okay, now if I have to use ilock, so I will say ilock, and here I will give reference 3, 2, right? Sorry, 2, 1. Right? 2 is Q3 and Q2 is 1. And here I will say 0. Now you run it. Okay. Same values you got. So here I use ilock, I'm using the reference. Okay. Now you see this one. Okay. Purposely, I did not give any name. In this case, your ilock and lock will be same. Your name is also 0, reference is also 0. Right? So if I have to use, say, data2, print using data2, okay. Now here I can use both ilock and lock same. Okay, so let's say if I give data2, right? Data2, and since there is no name, right? So okay, lock will also be same in this case. So I'm saying give me column 0 and row 3rd and 2nd. Okay, so you get same thing here because here name and number both are same. Make sense? So yeah, we'll stop here today.